Sometimes you'll have an audition that's a little bit better than an audition that you had last week, and sometimes you'll have an audition that's a little bit worse than the one you had last week. So what are the key things that will keep you from getting a callback? Unlike acting, which is something that you need to do for the rest of your life, you should be studying acting literally for the rest of your life as long as you want to be an actor. It doesn't matter how old you get, it doesn't matter how much you work, you need to keep active with it. Much like a pianist, a concert pianist is not going to not play for a year and a half and then think that they can go to Carnegie Hall and start playing again. You need to keep warmed up as an actor. So the one thing in my auditions anyway, speaking for myself, that will probably keep you from getting a callback is when you break character. And breaking character can be done in so many subtle ways. Just as in a broad spectrum, it means that you are the role of Johnny and you're doing fine, and then all of a sudden you stumble over a word and you go, oh, I'm sorry, okay. All right, hold on, I'll start over. You can't do that. You can't even do a little verbal thing if you mess up a word. Like you mess up the word and you go, and then start over again. That is all considered breaking character. Or if you stop in the middle and you go, oh, sorry, I mispronounced that word. That's breaking character. If you tell the reader you missed a line, that's breaking character. Basically, when you come into an audition, that audition needs to be like a mini play that you are putting on for the casting director. So hopefully you've never been to theater, at least professional theater, where part of the way through the play, an actor stopped and went, wait a minute, I think I forgot a line. Wait a minute, let me start over. And they go back 2 paragraphs and start over. No, what they're going to do is just wing it and move on. And you need to do exactly the same thing when you're at an audition. Every audition that you do needs to be considered as a mini play. So if you lost where you were, you should have your sides with you. In character, just glance at your sides. Do what you need to do to find your place and keep going. Everything about your audition should be organic. Let's say that as you're auditioning, you reach into your pocket to pull out a quarter, and that's all planned, and you have that quarter and you're dealing with it, but when you reached in your pocket to get that quarter, there was a piece of paper in there, and when you pulled your hand out, the piece of paper fell on the ground. Well, think about what anybody would do in a normal situation without even thinking about it. You reach in to get a coin, a piece of paper falls out. What do? You reach down, you pick up the piece of paper. That's the natural thing. If, as an actor, you pull out the coin, the piece of paper falls on the ground, you reach down, pick it up, just never breaking character, keeping up with your lines, the casting director will probably never even remember that you dropped the piece of paper because the whole interaction was so natural. However, if you reach into your pocket, grab that coin, the paper falls to the ground, and now in your head you're saying, nowhere in the script does it say that they reached down to pick up a piece of paper that fell to the ground, so you leave it on the ground. Now, the casting director isn't even going to hear the rest of your audition because the only thing that they're now focusing on is, why did they not pick up that piece of paper that's on the ground? So everything in your audition has to be organic, and nothing should let you break character. Even if, let's say that you're auditioning in a room and you can't see it, but in this particular room, there are windows to my left. So if I'm auditioning and a fire truck goes by, I don't know why we all need to stop and look at a fire truck when it goes by, because we know what they look like, but somehow it's human nature to do that. So if a fire truck is going by in the middle of my audition, it's fine in character to stop and just kind of keep talking, but just kind of visually, see the fire truck go by. Because what happens there is it gives permission to the casting people to also glance out and look at the fire truck. However, if you if nowhere in the script does it say that a fire truck is going by, so you don't glance out, it's probably going to pull the casting people out of reality for a bit. In the same sense, let's say that now in the script, a fire truck is going by and you need to acknowledge it. Now, I mentioned to you, though you can't see it, there are windows on my left, there are no windows on my right. So if in the middle of my audition, I say, oh, look at that fire truck going by, everybody in the room is going to say, that's a wall. The windows are over there. Why did you acknowledge that side? So everything has to be organic. You can't plan ahead how you're going to do something and then come into the casting room and use that exact blocking, because it's probably not going to work. And you can adjust to anything if you're comfortable enough with the scene. For example, if you are getting ready to break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you meet at a certain restaurant you've never been to, but in your mind you've kind of got it planned out that you're going to walk in the restaurant, it's going to be some Victorian type house that's converted into a restaurant. You're going to go in and turn right, and they're going to seat you at a table by a window, and then you're going to sit there, and this is what you're going to say. This is how you're going to break up. I doubt that if you get to the restaurant and it's modern and they seat you to the left instead of to the right, that you're going to be thrown and go, oh, wait, I can't break up now because this isn't exactly the way that I visualized the restaurant would be. It's got to be the same thing for an audition. When you come in, you can't say, oh, I'm going to acknowledge the fire truck to my right, because as in this room, the right may have no window, but the left does. Everything needs to be organic, and this is all part of staying in character, which is probably, again, the most important thing that you can do as an actor.